Last card of the year.
Yeah, can't wait. Excited.
Yep. So after this card is gonna be a whole fucking month.
Yeah.
Damn near a month until the next card. Man, that sucks. It fucking
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, it sucks, but I'm not mad at it because we've been
Yeah.
on a long run of like a fucking UFC card every single week. So,
Right. Right. Well, I wouldn't have it any other way. So, well, this
yeah.
card here has a ton of fights. What's the over under? Do you think of how many fights will we lose due to COVID? Three and a half.
Uh,
3.5. Over under 3.5.
what's hard? Like, what are we down to right now? 13?
Shit, I don't know.
Because the one I messaged you about
Oh,
today, earlier today.
Bilal's gone.
Well, that one, but then earlier today, it was announced that what's this dude who's facing Carlton minus Rick Glenn? He got COVID, so he had to pull
Uh,
out.
there goes two right there. So
And they're
what's your
trying.
over
Well,
under 3.5?
well,
What do you think?
originally there's three of them got canceled actually, but
Oh,
uh,
oh,
with the it all depends because they're trying to find a replacement for Rick Glenn for Carlton minus. So
mm,
right now, as of now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 fights. And I think at most we'll no, I feel confident we'll have 13 fights between now and the weekend at least.
well, you are optimistic. I am. I mean, shit, man. Fucking COVID, man. um. So, how do you liking this card in general, as a fan, and then also from a betting perspective? What are your thoughts?
Uh, from a fan's perspective, I really like this card. Sorry, my throat's getting weird. I like this card from a fan's perspective. It's very entertaining on paper, and from a betting perspective, I also like this card. I'm not going to be betting on every single. Well, actually, I probably will bet on every single fight, but I
'Cause
won't
you're
bet.
generous.
Yeah, I won't bet big on every single fight, but there are a few fights that I'm going to go big on, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, sure. For me, as a fan, I like it. I see a ton of fights that I feel like it will be bangers. Especially in a small cage as well. The matchups looks cool. I see a couple of like prospects that I kind of like. But from a betting perspective, I'm not too high on it. Like personally, I'm sure somebody else out there sees something nice or something, whatever. But
Mhm.
personally, for me, I don't plan on going high stakes on this one. But I'm just gonna go through it anyways. It's the last card of the year, and I know we haven't been really consistent with pumping out these cards. I
Yeah.
mean, cast and whatnot, but might as well do one now. So, um, why don't we just get started, and we'll start from the bottom on up. Um, First fight of the night is supposed to be Rick Glenn versus Carlton Minus. That fight got scrapped, so we'll just move on. And then you have a middleweight bout between Stefan Inchukwi versus Jamie Pickett. I can't say I know too much about these guys. I saw like some highlights of both guys, and I like the way Stefan fights. He
Hmm.
looks like a banger. He looks like he's a really good Muay Thai fighter. Got some really good knees in the clinch. He's got some great leg kicks. He looks like he's got some power, and yeah, he looks like a good fighter. And you know, Pickett, I've seen a little bit of his fights as well, just very small clips. He looks like he knows how to fight too. Um, the line is pretty wide though. I'm guessing Stefan's probably like a really good prospect or something. At negative 290, I'm not gonna play that. I don't see any way to play this fight at all. I wouldn't want to bet against Stefan just because he looks like a banger, like I said. But this is a skip for me. But this fight should be on paper a very fun fight to watch. But yeah, there's just no way, no angle to play at this. So yeah.
Yeah, for me, and Chukwi should win this fight.
Mm.
He should win inside the distance. But he only has 4 professional fights, and he does have an extensive kickboxing background. So he is very skilled. I'm not going to call him like a high level because that's kind of vague calling a kickboxer high level. I mean, there's Wonder Boy, and then there's a bunch of other people who are high level, and then you have Nchukwi who's very skilled as a kickboxer, as a striker. So he should win inside the distance. He is making his well, he and his opponent Pickett, they're both from Dana White's Contender Series, and they're both making their UFC debut. And I've noticed, because I bet the guys a lot, I noticed that a lot of those Contender Series guys, they underperform, they start slow, They usually don't get like a first round finish, uh, like sometimes we think they will. Um, so while I do think Nchukwi will win, I would rather bet the over 1.5 at minus 115. And and then I was also eyeballing Nchukwi by decision. The thing with him is that he's powerful. He's very powerful in the mid range and close range with the striking, and he picks his shots. And if you stay on the outside, you're not coming towards him, then the fight could go longer. He's not one who's going to be closing the distance the whole time. He hangs out and he picks his spots. So uh, my what's his face Pickett in his last fight to get inside to get to the UFC. That was his third time on the Contender Series, um, and he beat some scrub. So I have a feeling he'll probably get knocked out here. He's trying to might get aggressive, but I'm kind of leaning towards over 1.5, and I might sprinkle a little bit on Nchukwi decision by 420. But uh, either way, my final pick is going to be over 1.5 minus 115 for Nchukwi versus Pickett.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. Over 1.5 are usually like generally they tend to hit. So, but then that would be a blind a blind pick for me, so because I really don't know too much about either guy, just a little bit. Ayman Zahabi is a bantamweight bout versus Draco Rodriguez. Um, Rodriguez is negative 190 and Zahabi is plus 165. Don't know much about either guy. I mean, I think I've seen Zahabi fight once. It was when he got knocked out against that Brazilian dude with the spinning back elbow or whatever.
Nasty.
But I can't say I know too much about either. Man, I don't remember. I don't remember much about him, man. I haven't done enough research to know either. So I have nothing here.
Yeah, this is one of the two fights that I I don't have a pick on yet, just because I do know plenty about Ayman Zahabi, but his opponent Draco, we'll call him Draco. I have not even heard of him before. So this will be his first fight in the UFC. He's expected to win because he's like the better striker. Other people have said he doesn't really have he's like he doesn't have that much of a ground game for jiu-jitsu, while Zahabi is a black belt. Um, Zahabi, in my opinion, should be on a 3-fight losing streak in the UFC. He entered the UFC in February 2017. He he fought Reginaldo Vieira in Canada. Zahabi's from Canada, by the way. So he fought that Brazilian guy in Canada, and I thought the Brazilian guy got robbed, basically. So he won that. Actually had a bet on Zahabi, so I was like very grateful that you won that. But I think you should have lost. So and then he got knocked out by it was like I think it was a double spinning elbow by Ramos. The first one missed, and like a little bit later, he did it again, landed it clean. He curled those toes of that Canadian dude, and he was done. He was on the floor for a while too. They took the camera off him, and then against Vince Morales, 2 years later, or like a year and a half later, he came back in May 2019. He didn't look good there either. And now we're in what, December of 2020, so over a year and a half later, he's coming back, and he's always posting about on his Instagram. He's always posting about his family stuff. He's one of the he works at the gym that his brother Frost Zahabi owns. So he's got basically he has consistent income, whether he fights or not. Basically, I just think I can't say if he's gonna win or not, or if he's gonna. I just don't know about his opponent, but from what everyone else is saying about the striking and the takedown defense of Draco, I'm leaning towards him, but I officially have no pick until I do some tape on Draco.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pay no juice negative 190 on. Just I have no idea, So
Yeah.
yep, that's that. Next fight is a middleweight fight. Against the shortest middleweight in the game, Deron Win versus Antonio Arroyo. Uh, Arroyo's the favorite at negative 165 to come back on Win is plus 145. The height difference is Win is 5'6" and Arroyo is 6'3", so that's a 4-5 3 plus. That's a 9. 9 inch. Yeah,
Yeah.
9 inch height advantage. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the
Crazy.
reach though, the reach is only 3.5 inches though.
Yeah.
So this one is interesting because like Arroyo, he doesn't really throw punches. He throws kicks. You know. I don't see. I mean, like, I mean, this is gonna be a running joke with Darren Wynn, where like he's always gonna be the shortest guy, and that's the first thing people are always gonna mention about him is just that he's fucking 5'6", you know.
Yeah.
Um, so fucking what the fuck, you know, like he's got to be he's got to be at a disadvantage here, but like I wouldn't be so sure just because I don't know, you know, like I don't know enough about Arroyo anyways either.
Hmm.
He's also another guy that's coming out from the contender series, so like I haven't seen enough of him to know um like I said, from what I've seen of him, he just throws kicks. And
Hmm.
I don't know how well he's gonna be able to keep the distance against a guy who's gonna crash into the pocket like that. And not really like yeah, like I just don't feel like Arroyo like runs a really good distance game. But he does have those kicks, and he, um, I don't know, man. I really don't know who's gonna win the fight. I want to. I'm gonna lean towards Arroyo just because of the height disparity and whatnot. But I'm not confident on either one of these. Like I have no idea.
Yeah. This is one of those low level fights where I'll probably have like $5 at most on it just to have some action. It's a very low level fight. You have the short dude. You already went through the height, so I'm not going to go through that. But I was just well, one thing about their height was Arroyo is like 1 inch shorter than John Jones, and he has like a way shorter reach than John Jones. Like John Jones is like what 6'4", Arroyo is 6'3". He has a 73-inch reach, and John Jones is like what 83 or something or whatever it was. Anyway, but so aside from that, Arroyo is he's mostly a kicker, like you mentioned. He's like a poor man's Thiago Santos. Um, his last fight was against Andre Muniz, who you may or may not remember. He's had he's had two fights
He's
in
a
the
black
UFC.
belt,
Yeah, he's
right?
the black belt. He submitted Bartosz Babinski in his last fight.
Mm.
Um, so he's on a two-fight win streak in the UFC, and then he also, before he got into the UFC, he won two fights on the Dana White Contender Series. Um, so essentially, he's kind of like on a four-fight win streak in UFC-related fights. Um, and so the reason why I bring that up is because Arroyo, I'm not really worried about him if he gets taken down by Win. I'm not worried about Win doing anything on top. Uh, Coupled with the fact that when he
He's
is
got good wrestling, doesn't he?
he's not basically if you
He's got
listen
good
to
wrestling, but not
if
much like offensive ability on top, right?
kinda like if you listen to DC Daniel Cormier because that's his homeboy. If you listen to him, DC's gonna make him sound like he's like the next big thing in wrestling. But basically, in his fight against Eric Spicely in his debut, Deron Win, he didn't get any takedowns, but he just basically landed a whole bunch of soft strikes on Eric Spicely, and that fight went to a decision. And Eric Spicely, the jiu-jitsu dude, landed 108 significant strikes on Deron Win.
Mm.
All right. So, and then in
You
his
know what?
next
I'll take
fight,
the over 1.5.
Deron Win, he lost a split decision to Darren Stewart. He took Darren Stewart down 6 times, which means Darren Stewart got back up 6 times. Uh, and then in his next fight against Gerald Meerschaert, he got subbed by Gerald Meerschaert in the third round. So Deron Win's problem is that while he can get takedowns, his cardio is not great, and that
Yeah,
means that
doesn't look like it.
he's not able to keep going for takedowns, and he's not heavy on top, which is why people keep getting up from underneath him. So he's
It's funny that
basically
he has a hard time cutting, and yet he's you know, 5'6".
yeah. You know who else is 5'6"? Frankie Edgar,
Yeah, that's crazy.
135er.
Yeah.
um, but I think this fight's gonna. What is the over at on this fight actually? Before I even say.
Uh, I think Fight Times offers either 1.5 or 2.5. I'm not sure what other books are offering. Cause I'm looking at best fight odds and they're offering both, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks like most bookies are doing 2.5 though.
Yeah. So I would go with the over. I would go with the over 2.5. While Deron Wynn does have cardio issues, he's reasonably durable, and I don't think Arroyo is going to submit him. So I think the over 2.5 is a safe bet here. I'm not going to take either dude, especially not Arroyo at -165. Um, yeah, I don't see Deron Wynn finishing, and Arroyo maybe he could land a head kicks because he only needs to lift his leg like 2 inches off the ground to hit that other dude in the head. So who knows? But over 2.5 at -120 for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was an easy one though. I feel like they are gonna bang. So it's
Oh
gonna be
yeah,
one of those things, like you took the over, like oh fuck, you're gonna have those moments. However, I do think it should go over too. But like I said, there's not much known about either guy either. So
yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Then you got Carl Roberson versus Dolce.
Lugiambula.
Yeah, I'll just call him Dolce.
Yeah, say that five
Um,
times fast.
I call him the African booty scratcher. All right. Um, Roberson is -250 and Dolce is +210. Like I think Carl Roberson is gonna win, but like I wouldn't pay that much juice to play him.
Hmm.
So I'm definitely not gonna play him at 260 at 250. So like what the fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if Roberson was -185 or something, I might play him. But at this price, no, I'm good on that. Like I would. You know what? I'm gonna fuck around and play the over in this one because I like 1.5s, and the 1.5 is not too expensive. It's -135, and if Dolce is able to go 3 rounds with what's his face, the Russian dude, what's his name? Uh,
Uh, what's his name? Magomed Ankalaev.
Magomed Ankala. Yeah, if he's able to go 3 rounds with him, I don't see why not with Carl Oberson. So I do want to say that this fight will go over 1.5. Yeah, that's a good pick for me. So I'm gonna go with that over
Yeah.
1.5.
Yeah. He got finished. He did get to the third round, but it ended 29 seconds into the
Yeah.
third round.
Just real quick though, like Dolce looks like one of those guys that doesn't throw much at all. He just throws like that one big old punch.
Yeah.
And Roberson looks like he's got more technical ability. He's probably going to be up voluming Dolce, and that's how
Hmm.
I think that will probably go. Is Roberson, hitting him with wait, is Dolce a southpaw? Can't be.
Let's see here. He is. Good question. I want to say I thought he was what's it called? Orthodox, but maybe he is southpaw. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Well, either way, I just think Roberson will probably throw more volume, and he probably, I don't know who has the ground advantage here. Is Dolce a grappler
Strike
or a
striker.
striker?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't know then. Yeah, so I'll just stick to over. That's what I'll settle with.
Yeah, for this one, it's an interesting one for two reasons. I was leaning with Roberson at first, but then there's two things. One thing for one guy and one thing for the other guy. All right, so Dalcha, he's 5 feet 8 inches. Actually, let me get the exact stats before I go into it. So Dalcha champion, where are we at here? All right, here we go. Okay, so we have Dalcha. He is 5 feet 8. Carl Roberson is 6'1", so there's a 5-inch height difference there. But Dalcha has the 2-inch reach advantage, so that's interesting. He's listed as Dalcha is listed as orthodox, and Roberson is listed as southpaw. Anyway, so Dalcha he is dropping to 185 if I remember correctly. His last fight was at 205 against the Russian dude who we just mentioned. And now he's dropping to middleweight to fight Carl Roberson. All right, so that's one. He's short and he's dropping a weight class. Next, this fight was originally scheduled for last week. The reason why it got pushed from last week to this week is because Roberson tested positive for COVID-19. It was postponed. So while I think that while I'm not worried about that COVID-19, it does affect some people in different ways. So who knows if Roberson has any effects from it, or if he's one of the 99.9 something percent of people who it doesn't affect at all. Who knows? Um, so there's that. It was postponed from last week to this week. So, but if Paul Roberson's healthy and Dalcha could drop the weight just fine and not have any issues, I still think that Carl Roberson's going to win. He's going to be able to. He's more well-rounded in my opinion, and Dalcha is just he's low volume. In that fight against Magomed Ankalaev, by the time he got to the 29th, basically by the time he got knocked out in the third round, the amount of strikes that were landed, significant strikes, it was 44 significant strikes for Magomed and 6 for Dalcha. So over the course of 10 minutes, he only landed 6 strikes.
Doesn't look like a guy that's gonna throw volume. Like look at him, he's like muscular and like
Yeah.
fucking, you know.
Yeah, he's your classic black explosive guy who seems like he's
Like
super scary. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
no other way to go through that one. Yeah.
And then, so what's my final pick? Final pick, I would say, oh God, Roberson's minus 255. The over is, I don't know if I even feel comfortable with the over. I think
You feel comfortable with the over under on the Tafan one, but you don't feel comfortable with this one?
Yeah, because just the way these guys are like, this is more of a volatile fight, in my opinion, compared to the Tafan fight. Because I know Tafan's going to sit back and he's a much better striker than Pickett. But if Pickett doesn't engage and go crazy like he did in his Dana White fight, then it's going to go over 1.5. Whereas Dalcha and Roberson, they're going to be more. It's just going to be more action, I think, from both guys. It's more. I don't know. It's more volatile, I think.
Take overs for the rest of it. Fucking take overs left and right. I've got to put a couple overs already here.
Yeah, so I'll probably pass on it for now. I don't really have a pick on that one.
I think I skipped the fight earlier in the prelims.
Yeah, Durden and Flick.
Cody Durden versus Jimmy Flick. I have no idea who neither guy is. Do you?
I know a little bit about Jimmy Flick, that he's just basically a pure jiu-jitsu guy. In his last fight, actually, his striking looked a little bit improved. I believe it was his low kicks, but overall, I mean, his striking's still below average a little bit, but his grappling, if he can get it to the ground, he's pretty deadly down there against mid-level to low-level dudes.
Cody Durden fought Chris Gutierrez to a draw. I don't know where the heck I was during that time, but I didn't have a chance to see that fight. But I think Chris Gutierrez is a pretty good fighter, and he went to a draw with them. So I don't know. Remind me what happened in there.
So in that fight, against Chris Gutierrez, Durden came in on short notice.
Is he a wrestler?
Yeah, he's a wrestler.
Okay.
So he came in on short notice, and he was able to take down Gutierrez in the first round, and Gutierrez just like, he didn't even fight it. He was just trying to, you know how like you kind of like try to just sit there and wait for the referee to stand you up. Well, he was just doing that. He wasn't even trying to like waste his energy. So after that round, Durden?
Yeah.
Well, I guess so, probably. But after that first round, he didn't really do any damage to. I agree. I agree with you. He is a layer prayer because he didn't do any damage. Because I was about to say it anyway. Anyway, so Durden didn't do much damage from the top. And then once that round 1 was over, he was gassed, and then he lost the second and third round. But for some reason, all 3 judges gave Durden a 10-8 in the first round just for being on top, and he didn't do much damage at all. It was weird. Yeah, so that went to a draw. So he's basically 0-1 in the UFC. I have no pick on this fight just yet because I need to do more. I need to watch some more tape on both dudes. But I do know that Jimmy Flick, if he can't get that takedown, then he's going to be forced to stand. And he has, I believe it's 4 losses. All 4 of his losses are by knockout. And Durden, he's a wrestle boxer. So
what about over 1.5 for this one? I mean, flyweights at over 1.5. It seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, I like that as well.
Because flyweights over 1.5. That dude, why not?
Yeah. So
Fuck, I'm on all the overs, bro.
this fight was also supposed to take place. Let me double check to make sure it was last week or no. It was they were supposed to fight at the Hermanson. So this was supposed to they were supposed to fight 2 weeks ago, on December 5th. But what's his face? Durden, he had to pull out because he had pink eye. So basically, the fight was rescheduled to this weekend due to pink eye.
Okay.
And then also they basically they made weight, and then right after they made weight the next day or that night or whatever, he got pink eye. Oh, he knew it before. He showed up to the weigh-ins with sunglasses on, so he was trying to just kind of like fight anyway, but they caught him. So anyway, there are some people saying that Durden might have cardio issues in this fight because I think he only made this weight once before or something like that. So there might be cardio issues for Durden here.
One and a
So,
half.
yep.
All right. Next fight. It's right after the Roberson versus Dalcha fight.
Mhm.
It's Penny Kianzad versus Jar Eubanks. I'm not even gonna go through this like soccer mom fights. I'm gonna let you have this one, but like don't take too long on these bumps.
All right. So,
Please cut to the chase, please. I don't want to hear this shit.
I am taking Kianzad, and I feel fine about it. I'm not. It's not like a super confident bet, but she's the she's the much better striker here. Her technique is much better. She has a more output. Her her takedown defense has gotten better. It was already pretty decent, but it got better. And without the takedown, Sajara Eubanks loses, her all of her fights if she can't get the takedown. She usually winner. I said this in her last fight, in our breakdown for her last fight, which was like a long time ago, that she always wins the first round. Sajara, even if she loses the fight, she always wins that first round because she goes hard. She throws hard, and her technique is okay, but she just kind of goes hard in that first round. If
Didn't she
whatever
upset that one chick?
she
Eubanks?
ups,
She upset it. Some like big favorite or something like recently or something.
she so in her last fight she got her ass beat by Ketlin Vieira, but before that she beat Julia Avila, is who you're talking about. So what happened in that fight
Random
was,
fight.
yeah. So what happened in that fight? Sajara, I think she won the first round, and then Avila won the second, or vice versa. They were 1-1 going into the third round. And what happened was Avila, she she stood straight up and she rushed forward with a combo, and then she got taken down when she was off balance, and then she stayed on the ground. She stayed on her back for the majority of the round, enough to lose the round. So it was basically Avila had a brain fart, low fight IQ, I guess, and that's how Eubanks won the fight.
So this fight's pretty much an easy over too, because it looks like Kianzad on her record has a ton of decisions.
Hmm.
Um, Eubanks doesn't finish people either, and she's never been finished. So, but the it's pretty juiced out the negative 370, but at the same time, like it's probably gonna happen. So,
Yeah, I like this fight. On my notes, it was plus 140 at the time, but now it's plus 135. So I like Kianzad money line plus 135. But I might just take her
by
decision
decision,
line
you might as
at
well 190.
it down. It was at plus 200. I thought it was. But anyway, yeah, plus 190 is what I like it at. So I'll take a Kianzad decision plus 190.
You
Look
might
good.
as well. Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
Hmm.
All right, next fight. You got Anthony Pettis versus Alex Morono. Pettis is negative 230 and Morono is plus 190. I've never liked Morono. But if there's one thing that I can give him credit for is that he's pretty like dogged in the way
Hmm.
he fights. You know, like he's not very athletic. He's not very strong. He's not very like technical anywhere. Like he swings wild. Like it's just like I don't like his style of fighting, and he's just not very athletic at all or anything.
Hmm.
However, he does have heart. He does come forward. He does he has he he fights with his heart, like I mentioned. He has cardio, and but I don't think that's gonna save him here, just because Pettis is, on paper like the more slicker striker, the more technical guy, better pretty much everywhere really.
Hmm.
So I expect Pettis to beat him, but man, Pettis, I don't know, like so old now. He's like, he's worn down. Like he's I can't bet juiced. I can never like when seeing that much juice in next to Anthony Pettis' name. Like I don't feel good about doing it.
Hmm.
However, I do think he's gonna win. You know,
Yeah.
if they do bang it out, man, like I might fuck around and take him by finish or something. I don't know, because the over is negative 200, and that's not a good line at all. And hopefully they come out and bang and like, because I know Morono comes out to bang, you know,
Yeah.
and I know Pettis is gonna oblige. So fuck, I'm just gonna like take a shot in the dark and take Pettis by knockout or something or something. Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a tricky one. A lot of people are confident in Pettis. Um, I usually pick Pettis fights right. Um, I said it before. He's Puerto Rican, and I usually
Mm.
whether they win or lose, they usually lose. Puerto Rican fighters, I'm usually good at picking them. So the reason why I think this is a closer fight than most people think it is, it's just that we have Pettis. His last fight was against Donald Cerrone, where a lot of people were like on the fence of like, did he actually even win that? Was it? It wasn't like a super clear win. It was a close fight. Um, I don't know if I had a bet on it at the time or not, but I remember being close. So like I kind of was leaning towards Donald Cerrone winning that, even though I wanted Pettis to win it. Um, and then so that was his last fight earlier in May or March of this year. And then what's his face? Morono, his last win was over that scrub named Reese McKee. He's that dude who got his ass beat by Kamzat or Hamzat Shemaev, whatever. So that's kind of what he's known for. But anyway, in that last fight, that was only last month. It was only 1 month ago that he beat that dude's ass. But in that fight, Alex Morona, he fought down to his opponent's skill level. And what I mean by that is, yeah, Alex Morona landed 3 takedowns, okay, which is good. It went to a decision, by the way. So he landed 3 takedowns and he landed 176 significant strikes. Okay, that's a lot. That's a ton. But Reese McKee, he landed 124 significant strikes. So, I mean, he's like taking so many shots from this low level dude, and he took him down 3 times. I'm not even sure why he would get hit that much, but he was just letting this dude hit him. It was like basically trade and trade and trade. Um, and then before that, he got quickly finished by Chaos Williams, who's later on this card. He was fighting later on this card. Uh, but then before that, he was on a 3 fight winning streak. He beat Max Griffin. He beat the ghost of Zach Otto, and then he beat Song Kinan, who's that Chinese dude who's a striker.
Mm.
Um, so I have a feeling like I originally was like thinking, maybe Pettis could actually finish this guy inside the distance. So I was kind of leaning towards that at what was it plus 240? But then I'm feeling like kind of I want to go like in the left field with it and kind of choose Morono by decision at plus 345. Um,
If he
because
does win, it'll be less than that. So
he has more output. He's gonna be what's his face? Pettis doesn't do good when people pressure him because he needs that space to throw his kicks. And you know his hands are kind of okay. They're a little bit better than they used to be, but his kicks are his main thing. So if he can't get his kicks off, he's gonna get that distance closed, and he's just gonna be stuck against the cage. We've seen that plenty of times in Pettis' fights where people get him. They close the distance somehow, whether it's against a cage or they take him down, and then they
but
get.
I've never seen Ronald Russell, so I don't know.
Oh, even I mean, even if he doesn't get the takedown, he could still big brother him against the cage enough to where he's constantly made to work, and he's not getting that space. We saw that in plenty of fights that Pettis lost. Um, so yeah, there's that. So I mean, if I had a gun to my head, obviously I pick Pettis here. But the 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 output, the willingness, like the heart, and he just fought last month. I'll take I kind of want to go with the underdog here, Alex
Maybe
Morono
you
decision.
should take the plus 3.5 or something.
Yeah,
Maybe that's not bad.
that's gonna probably go with here. Alex Morono decision plus 345.
Okay, that's uh that's a dog right there, I guess. Um, okay, so we have another girl fight. Jillian Robertson versus Talia Santos.
Hmm.
Let's call it Tyler. The odds are even, -110 apiece. I mean, uh, Robertson isn't too bad of a fighter, just because I mean her jiu-jitsu is good at least, you know.
Hmm.
Um, Her striking sucks though. It looks like she like cringes when you punch her. Like she doesn't look like the type of person that likes getting punched. I mean, she reacts badly to getting punched. That's what I meant.
Mm.
But I think she's probably got the ground advantage here, and I do think she'll probably get this to the ground because that Santos girl got out wrestled by the other bum. So I don't see. Well, I mean, Santos does look pretty athletic though. I took her by decision in the last fight against that that European chick or whatever. Just because she looks athletic, she looks buff, and that was basically my only reasoning behind it. Like I
Mhm.
really didn't have any other reason to take her other than she looked buff. So maybe that debut against that other chick, it was a kind of a the jitters or something. So
Yeah.
um, with that said, I don't think I don't think she's gonna be able to avoid a grappling fight here, just because Santos looks like a willing grappler, and it looks like she's able. I mean, people are able to push her against the fence. And Robertson is the type of person that's like, if she can't get the takedown, which she looks like she's got some pretty good takedowns. She's actually willing to pull guard as well and look for that sweep. And I think she'll be able to find it against Santos here. So I'm gonna go with Robertson, just via the better ground game at
Hmm.
-110. But I'm not confident in it. I could see like Santos just out being more athletic and like stuffing some takedowns and just beating her up on the feet, just because Robertson, like I said, like reacts really badly to getting punched. So but I'm gonna go with Robertson here.
Yeah. Yeah. This is I usually have a side when it comes to women's MMA, but this one is a tricky one. Especially since the line is dead even at -110 apiece. I can't even go with the dog for dog odds, and can't even make anything up as far as why I want to choose a dog or anything. But this one is -110 apiece. Tyla Santos, it's like she's I'm pretty sure she's a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Is
Uh,
she?
she she has a striking advantage. Let me double check on the black belt. I'm pretty sure she is. Well, Jillian, she's like she showed us that her jujitsu is more I guess more deadly in MMA. So let's see here. Her jujitsu rank is what? Black belt. Yeah, she's a black belt under Dean Thomas. So
And
but
she's
anyway,
got some pretty good, like she's got a good top. I mean, she's got a like very aggressive ground game. So I that's the one thing I'll give her credit for, like, because it's actually pretty good. Like her ground game, how
yeah.
she gets it there. That's another story, So
Yeah. So we have Jillian Robertson here. Let me check out their stats. We have Jillian Robertson here. She's 5 feet 5 inches. Tyler Santos is listed at 5'6". I thought she was taller for some reason. Robertson she has 63-inch reach. Tyler Santos has a 68-inch reach, so she's 1 inch taller and has a 5-inch reach advantage. Um, that's going to come into play if Robertson can't get a takedown within the first few times. Um, and then if she's forced to stand with Santos, then she's fucked basically. Um, I don't feel confident that Robertson is going to be able to get the submission here. I think that she can win the fight, Robertson, but I think I'm leaning more towards a decision if she wins. Um, in her what's it called? In her last two fights here, in her last one fight against Poliana Botello, she won a decision over her with
yeah, I
takedowns.
took her by the submission, and then she
Yeah,
couldn't finish her. So I'm like, fuck you.
yeah. So a lot of people were actually on decision and sorry, yeah, decision against Paula in that fight.
Mhm.
Basically, they picked her by decision, and the reason for that is because in the fight right before that, the one she won, she's on a 2-fight win streak. So she had fought Courtney Casey right before that, and she submitted Courtney Casey, but she submitted her with only 24 seconds left in the fight. Courtney Casey just did she had some like weird fight IQ. She lost focused or whatever, and she got submitted with 24 seconds left in the fight. So basically, she should be on a 2-fight win streak via decision. And I feel that I think that what's her face, her opponent here, Santos, is just going to be good enough to stop the submissions from happening. Whether or not she's good enough to stop the takedown, who knows? That's why I don't want to bet the fight at the moment. But I think that this fight's going to go to a decision. If I had to see, it's tough because if Robertson can't get that takedown, you probably remember hearing this. If Robertson can't get the takedown, then she mentally chokes or whatever you want to call it, and she kind of shits the bed. This
Mhm.
was said about her when she was on the Ultimate Fighter. I forgot which coach said that about her, but she proved that when she actually got to the UFC. She proved it like twice. Once she couldn't get the takedown, when she couldn't get that takedown going against Macy Barber, she got her ass owned. Once, and then also against Myro Bueno Silva. So, yeah, I don't know. It's maybe a slight lean towards Robertson, but like it's just like if she can't get the takedown, she's basically fucked. So it's hard to really be confident in her at all in this fight. Yeah. So right now it's gonna be a pass. But if I was gonna bet on Robertson, then I would bet her decision line, which is currently plus 244. And also, if you want to go with the Santos route, because I do think this fight's going to go to the decision most of the time, you could take her plus 205 line by decision, Santos. So take your pick, choose one side, go with it, and hope the plus 200 or better cashes.
This is getting interesting because like I didn't have very many picks for this card in general, but like after some thought, like I'm gonna probably spread some money across the board on all the overs on
Mm-hmm.
this card.
Yeah.
But given that it's like a small cage, like, I'm kind of scared as well. But like, man, like I see a lot of overs that I'm like just by default, like, out of principle, I'm probably gonna play it like a
Yeah.
bunch of overs. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm not mad at it.
yeah, yeah. All right, so you got Greg Hardy. Even with this one here, Greg Hardy versus Marcin Tybura. I might the over's 2.5. That's a little too much for me, but I might play the over 1.5. At negative 160.
Mm-hmm.
If you have that option available, but I know that's my book offers it. So I'm gonna go with the over 1.5 here. I think Tybura is pretty durable for the most part. Greg Hardy is still a mystery to me, just because like yeah, he punches hard, and he's a fucking huge ass dude. Like he cuts weight to 265. That's so obviously he's still a developing fighter. So just I mean, on paper, I feel like Tybura should win just via like veteran savvy and being the better grappler here. He's a black belt. He could probably win if you were to get on top and things like that. But we're talking about heavyweights here, and it takes one punch. So it could be one of those situations where like Tybura is a better fighter. He gets him down to the ground, and then somewhere in later in the fight where like Tybura goes for the takedown, Greg Hardy just fucking jackhammers the back of his head. And Travis Brown style, and wins by knockout, and that'll be that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like some bullshit like that will probably happen in this fight. But I think I'm gonna go with Tybura as the underdog at plus 105 here. But like, it's fucking heavy. Like I said, like who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Um, um, yeah, I'll go with the over 1.5. So that's my pick. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that over 1.5. But the books that I'll be using in Vegas, they don't
Yeah.
have the 1.5. It's at 2.5. It's plus 125 for the over 2.5, which
Yeah.
I'm kind of not mad at that either. But I mean, they are heavyweights, so it's kind of who knows, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't feel good about it. 2.5.
Yeah. Actually, this is one of the fights, probably my second favorite fight on the card as far as betting wise. I like Tybura here a lot, Marcin Tybura. Um, I'm gonna have between $300 to $500 on him, which is a big bet for me. And right now his money line's plus 105. And what's his decision line? Let me check that. Decision line for Tybura
440.
is 2 plus 257.
Mm.
So, and then I haven't checked what it is in Vegas yet, but that's what it is on 5 dimes plus 257. Yeah, I like Ty Burry here a lot. A lot of people are just like riding, still dick riding Greg Hardy. It's that same old story. It's like
They,
we got the big black guy who seems much scary than he is. He has while he is a heavyweight and he can knock both of us out, he doesn't have big power in the grand scheme of things. He's not knocking these opponents out except for like the super low level opponents. So let me open up their stats before I get into this. We have Greg Hardy. Uh, He's 6'5", listed at 6'5". Marcin Tybura is 6'3". Tybura has a 78-inch reach. Hardy is 80 inches, so 2-inch height reach and 2-inch height advantage for Hardy. Both are listed as orthodox. They're both around the same age, around like 3 years apart. Um, and then when you get to the actual, so I'm looking on fightmetrics.com. Well, it used to be Fightmetrics, now it's UFCstats.com. If you just look at the strikes landed per minute, it says 3.6 for Tybura, 4.7 for Greg Hardy. So that's actually misleading because, well, number one, they're counting Greg Hardy's 2 fights on the Dana White Contender Series in those stats, and he fought 2 super low level guys to get into the UFC, and he knocked both of them out in the first round. So that's automatically going to bump his strikes landed per minute up a lot. When he got into the UFC, Greg Hardy lost to Alan Crowder. Oh, sorry, not a loss. That was a DQ. So that was a DQ. So that fight doesn't count. And then he beat two guys, Dmitry Smolikov, who's no longer in the UFC. He went 0-3. Then he beat Juan Adams, who's on a 3-fight losing streak when he got cut. So both of those dudes are not in the UFC. And then he had a no contest against Ben Sassoli. I forgot why that fight was overturned. Do you happen to remember? Was that weed?
wait, guess who? Sisoli? I have no idea.
Yeah. I want to say it's weed, or I don't remember exactly, but that fight was overturned. And then he lost to he took a short notice fight. After that, he took a short notice fight the following month against Alexander Volkov in where was that at? In Russia. So he basically took a short notice fight in less than a month, and he flew to the Russians' backyard and lost a terrible 3-round decision fight. And people are still fucking talking about how, oh my God, Hardy looked, even though he lost, he looked good against Volkov. If you actually go back and watch that fight, it was a light sparring match. Like Greg Hardy only landed 46 significant strikes in 15 minutes. Volkov landed 86. It was like nobody was in any trouble in that fight. It was just Volkov being ahead each round, and that was pretty much it. Greg Hardy didn't. He wasn't black explosive in that fight. He wasn't attempting any takedowns. He wasn't doing anything that was close to even uh, hurting or even finishing Volkov. So he didn't look good in that fight at all. Um, the next fight. So at the next fight, he beat that much shorter dude by decision named Jorgen De Castro. That fight, Greg Hardy landed 55 significant strikes. De Castro landed 24. Decision. Boo. Next fight, he beat the cross-eyed fighter named Maurice Green in the second round by TKO. Maurice Green is not good. He is in his last 4 fights. Maurice Green won 1 fight. He's 1-3 in his last 4 fights, and that one win is against Gian Villante. Uh, so yeah, um, Marcin Tybura, he's a black belt on the ground. He can get trip takedowns. He could get a single leg if he wants to, but I think this will probably end up staying on the feet. If he does get down to the ground, good. But I'm not even expecting him to. I'm expecting this to stay on the feet, where Tybura is the classically trained striker here. He has a striking background. He has more output. He has better kicks and punches. Greg Hardy, his striking is improving. I'll give him that from fight to fight, but he's still not as technical as Tybura here. And if you remember, if you happen to have seen Tybura's last fight, he that was right after his homeboy Jan Blachowicz won the title and took it back to Poland. Tybura is from Poland. After that, he said he felt super motivated to see his homeboy win that title. So then he came down. He came into his next fight against Ben Rothwell, and he was slimmer in that fight, and his technique and output were better. He landed 94 significant strikes and got one takedown against Rothwell. While that fight did go to decision, uh, he did, he looked better, he performed better, and that if he looks as good as he did against Rothwell in that fight, I think he'll just, he'll easily beat what's his face, Greg Hardy here. So I'm gonna have between 300, at least 300, maybe 500 on Tybura at plus 105 or better. Depends on if people bet down Hardy on the way at the weigh-in. But yeah, so give me Marcin Tybura here at plus 105 money line. Book it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I mean, Greg Hardy's too inexperienced. He's like versus a guy who's very experienced. So,
Yeah.
um, I'm not mad at that. But it is heavyweight though, and of course, the black athleticism, the whole thing. So yep.
Yeah.
If I were to pick, I would. Yeah, I'd probably go outside for too. Next fight is this. This is a really good fight. It's a banger. Marlon Moraes versus Rob Font. Moraes is negative 150 and Font is plus 130. Both these guys are strikers, both Muay Thai fighters. Um, I mean, I think everybody knows, who both these guys are. Both really talented guys. The only problem, I mean, we know Marlon's issue is that he gasses. I mean, look how fucking buff the dude is. Like he's fucking joked the fuck out, and he probably cuts a ton of weight too.
Mm-hmm.
He probably should be a 145er if anything. If that's gonna help him with his cardio. But the guy throws with a ton of power. Pretty athletic. He just slows down in fights because he doesn't have great cardio. And Font, I don't know if he's a bigger man in here. He probably is, or like taller or something. But man, I this is gonna be a really good fight, and I think Marlon Rice should be able to win the striking match here. Just um but I'm not too sure. Like I said, it could be one of those fights where Mariah looks great early, and then Rob Font starts to kind of put it on him just because he slows down or something.
Mm.
But give me Marlon Moraes for the pick. But as far as like betting wise goes, like I don't know if I want to bet on Moraes after him losing the way he did in his last fight. So the guy just fucking he's not very durable. So I can't do it.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. This is another good matchup and another
Fun fight,
tricky fight to
fun fight
pick.
at the fan. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, first off, Rob Font is Puerto Rican, so there's that. And while I am going to be betting Rob Font in this fight, just because he's the underdog and he has, he's on a 2-fight win streak, and he has a little bit of momentum behind him because of that. Plus, he trains his main training partner is Calvin Cater, and they make up the New England cartel, I think it is. That's what they call themselves, the New England cartel. So they train together. They're both like those two are like some of the two best boxers in all of the UFC, pure boxers. But I think that let me check out the stats real fast. So we have Marlon Moraes, he's 5'6". Rob Font is 5'8". Moraes has a 67-inch reach. Font has a 71-inch reach. So Font is 2 inches taller and has a 4-inch reach advantage. Both are listed as orthodox, and they're just 1 year apart in age, so nothing big there. Um, but I'm going to be picking Font, but he's not active enough. He hasn't fought at all this year. So basically, his last fight was 1 year ago against Ricky Simone. So he hasn't fought in 1 year, and then before
That was a
that,
good win.
yeah, it was a good win. Ricky Simone's legit. And so before he beat Ricky Simone, he didn't fight 1 year. He didn't fight until 1 year before that. So he only fought twice in the past 2 years. And he beat in that fight. He beat Sergio Pettis, and Sergio had came up from 125, and he was a smaller guy naturally. He's shorter, and then he went up and fought a guy who's basically a better version of him because Sergio Pettis is mostly a boxer and some kicks, and that's exactly what Font does. He's just a better, bigger version of him. So Font easily won that fight. So I think in this fight, Marlon Rice is going to be is I think if Marlon Rice does his normal thing, how he comes out fast in that first round and throws a lot of kicks, those kicks are gonna really fuck with Rob Font's legs. He doesn't have the thickest legs, and his boxing stance leaves him open to those kicks. So um, actually, maybe I might not even have a bet on Font just because I already know what's kind of going to happen there. So I think I'm leaning towards Marlon Rice. Will he get the finish? It's hard to say, but I think he'll. I think he'll probably get the win here. What's his money line? It's minus 150. Maybe I'll wait until after the weigh-in because Font's going to be the taller, longer guy, and then I think I think Marlon Rice's line will probably get a little bit better. So give me Marlon Rice right now at minus 150, but I'm going to wait to bet him because his line's going to get a little bit better. I'm not sure how much, but it'll definitely get a little bit better. So Marlon Rice money line.
Okay. And as we continue to move on to the last three fights of this card, all of them are just on paper look like really fun fights for the fans.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have Chaos Williams versus Mitchell Pereira. Welterweight fight. Odds Pereira is a slight favorite at negative 125, and the comeback on Chaos Williams at plus 105. Man, like both these guys are very fun fighters and fun fighters indeed, man. Fucking Chaos Williams has been knocking dudes out in a matter of seconds, and there's really not really much known about him just because he's been wiping dudes clean like so early. So hard to tell. Um, but from what it looks of it, this guy is fucking powerful and in the pocket. He's a scary motherfucker. Like he's just swinging like fucking like you can tell this dude's from the hood. Like he's a fucking street fighter, and he's probably knocked some dude out. He's knocked a good number of dudes out in growing up or something. It looks like he's from Detroit, so I figure he probably got into a lot of street fights.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, scary dude. Looks like he's got a fucking ton of natural power, and he looks like a natural fighter. But I wouldn't call him like I wouldn't say that he's got great technique, just because the dude he just swings like wild, and he just bum rushes you forward. And then Pereira, on the other hand, he's man, it's crazy how Pereira's only 27 years old, but he looks about 37.
It's like Bad
Yeah,
Boys.
yeah. So both these guys are super duper powerful. Pereira's a little bit more lighter on his feet. He's gonna be bouncing around a lot, doing what he does, like all that crazy unpredictable shit. But with all mixed in with all the unpredictable and weird shit that he tends to do, all the fucking spinning and capoeira shit. This guy's got a baseline skills of like he's actually got some the baseline skills of actual technique. Like he's got some pretty good. Like he's got a really good straight right shot. He's got some good footwork. He's pretty smart in there too. He sets up certain things and he feints a ton and all that stuff. So he can switch it up. And man, this is gonna be a fun fight. And I just don't know, man. Like Chaos Williams can just come in there and just fucking blast another opponent just out of the blue. But um, given that Williams he looks like a KO or a bust type guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm gonna go with Pereira just because he's got more like he's got a ton of tools in his toolbox, and I feel like dude, I might actually take the over 1.5 here. Um, and I actually want to go with Pereira,
Mm-hmm.
possibly by decision, and that line's at plus 350. So I'm gonna play that line out of odds sake. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody gets finish. I wouldn't be surprised if Pereira gets a late finish here, or Chaos gets a early finish as well. But I'm
Mhm.
gonna go with over 1.5, and then I got my side play on Pereira by decision, just based off of what I had mentioned. But it's not a strong play, so yeah.
Yeah, I like that over 1.5 as well. Going into this fight, I was like, dang, I feel really good about Chaos Williams here. But then I was like, the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, on the regional scene, he wasn't all that great. And then in his first fight in the UFC, he fought Morono. He got aggressive with Morono. He clipped him, got a quick finish. Um, and then his next fight, he that ended fast as well. He fought, I forgot the dude's name who he fought, but the other dude threw a combo, and then uh, Williams just threw a straight right in the perfect, like he threw it straight down the middle in the perfect spot, and it connected, and that was it. He dropped him. So we haven't seen Williams go deep in the UFC. We haven't even seen him go past like the first half of the first round. Um, and then we already know that Michelle Pajeda, that he has a little bit of a cardio issue. Mostly because he does those acrobatic moves that take a lot of energy out of him. That's why he lost to well, he was about to lose to actually no, he did lose technically to what's his face, Diego Sanchez. Um, so but his last fight, he showed a lot of improvements of being patient and being the more technical striker. So in this fight, um, I already know, like right now, it's Pajeda is minus 125. I'm not sure what his line's going to be after the weigh-in, but after that weigh-in, his line's going to get bet down because he's going to be the taller dude. I'm not sure about the length, but he's going to be taller. He's going to be way thicker than Chaos Williams. Like the size is going to be like you're going to be like, wow, I need to bet this Brazilian dude who looks like he's 40, but he's really in his 20s and he's super acrobatic and shit. Um, but I'm thinking that if if Pajeda does that same strategy as his last fight and he's more technical and stays on the outside and tries to pick apart Williams or at least maybe try to counter him, then it's gonna go over unless Williams tries to get crazy. So if William respects Michelle Pajeda like he should, then he's not gonna try to do what he did to Morono. Um, So I am liking that over 1.5, but I'm not sure if the bookies I'll be at will have it, or if it's at 2.5. We'll see. But I do like your pick of over 1.5. I'm not really sure which guy I'm leaning towards at the moment, but I do like your over 1.5. Um, Let me see here. Let me double check to see what the line is.
The two
Uh,
and a half is plus 155. The over for that.
yeah,
If yeah.
I don't like the 2.5. Let me
Yeah, I
see
don't
here.
like. I don't either. It should be 1.5. I think if you're going to Vegas, it should be 1.5.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm looking at right now William Hill. So William Hill has over 1.5 minus 115. So yeah, I'll take the minus 115 for over 1.5 for the Chaos Williams Pajeda fight. Book it.
Okay. Yep. Very good. Co-main event. You have Marlon Vera versus Jose Aldo. Aldo's the favorite, negative 145. Marlon Vera is plus 125. I mean, we all know both these guys pretty well, you know.
Hmm.
Jose Aldo, just like Marlon Moraes, is a vicious striker and very good. Very, very good Muay Thai. But just like like I said, just like Marlon Vera, he slows down in fights, and he, Aldo's gotten a ton of mileage on him, and like Aldo in his prime, fucking beats Vera easily. Like this is an easy pick,
Hmm.
But Vera at his I mean Vera Aldo at this advanced point in his career. I mean advanced age and things like that, and all the damage he's accumulated, and all the he got fucking beat the shit out of against Peter Yan,
Hmm.
and like man, it could be one of those things where I mean, and he looked good in early in that fight. Aldo against Peter Yan.
Hmm.
He's landing some good hard shots and stuff like that too. And later in his career, is Aldo doesn't throw kicks anymore, but he looks like a boxer now, and he throws a ton of body punches. He gets into the pocket, and he got some still good. He's got still got the good technique and everything. It's just he's not he he fights at one speed, and sometimes when Aldo doesn't like put a, he doesn't control the pace or the tempo of the fight, people tend to run over his tempo and then find his timing, and there it is. And Vera is a cockroach fighter. I like to label him, and many other fighters like Darren Elkins is when I say that is it's actually a term of endearment where these guys get stepped on, they get beat up, and they just keep coming back and they don't go away. And Vera is one of those guys where like he can get beat up and he'll come back strong in that third round, and yeah, I can see that happening here.
Hmm.
So it should be a very close fight. Given that, however, like I said, technically Jose is the better fighter, but if he slows down in that second round, I think Vera's gonna take over the fight. But pick wise, I'm gonna go with Jose Aldo, but I wouldn't bet on him at negative 145. If this fight gets down to evens at negative 110 apiece, I'll probably put a little bit of money on Aldo. But yeah, like no, I'm not gonna fucking bet this shit. So fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Vera's getting better though. He's getting good.
Yeah. I mostly agree with everything you said. Um, and so let's see. Let's go back to the stats here real quick.
Jose early, Vera late. That's what I'm guessing.
All right. So the stats we have Aldo. He is 5'7", 5 feet 7 inches. Marlon Vera is 5 feet 8 inches, so 1 inch difference there. And they both have a 70-inch reach, 7-0. And Aldo is orthodox. Marlon Vera is switch stance. Um, so yeah, so they're pretty even there as far as the height and the reach. Age, obviously there's an age difference there of 6 years in favor of Marlon Vera. Um, and then as far as this fight, I was going into it like even on my my betting sheet here of bets that I'm gonna make. I have Marlon Vera money line plus 125 and Marlon Vera decision plus 310. Um, my I'm leaning like I'm thinking that it's going to be a close fight on paper to where Aldo he still has enough juice in him to win that first round, and then probably the early of the second round. But he has to push himself to actually go hard in that first round because sometimes he doesn't do that. In his fight against Marlon Moraes, the one where he should have won, and people thought he was robbed, but he really wasn't robbed. In that fight, he lost the first round, and then the second round, he won that second round. He started throwing leg kicks in that second round. But in the third round, he didn't throw any leg kicks. So the first round, he didn't throw any leg kicks. Second round, threw leg kicks. I think like 3 or something. And then in the third round, he threw no leg kicks and he slowed down and he lost that fight due to inactivity. Um, in this fight against Vera, he people still think that he starts slow, even though he's fixed that. Uh, and he has consistent cardio throughout the whole fight, and he's known for even turning it up a little bit in the third round too. So Vera's going to have the cardio here. He's going to be pushing the pace, um, and he's not going to back down from Aldo. He's going to make Aldo fight. So Aldo's not going to have time to coast. He's not going to be able to land a kick and just coast like he did in his prime. Um, I think that if Aldo shows up like I think he's going to show up, I think he's going to win the first round. The second round might be close, and then I think Vera's going to win the third round. So I'm going to go with what is his money line? Vera's money line is currently plus 125, but I like his decision line at what did I say it was plus 310. Marlon Vera decision plus 310. So I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, Aldo's
Be-
pretty worn out, man. So
Yeah. Do you think if Vera wins, you think he's going to finish Aldo?
If he does, it would be in the third round. If he does,
Okay. Okay.
like
Most of the time,
I wouldn't.
most of the time, do you think if he beats Aldo like 10 times out of 10, do you think he's mostly gonna win by decision or by finish?
By decision.
Okay.
I don't
That's
see him
that's
finishing Aldo here. Maybe in
that,
a 5 round fight, just because Aldo cannot fucking do 5 round fights anymore.
yeah.
But I think a 3 round fight might. I mean, I think 3 round fights are better for Aldo at this point in his career because
Yeah.
I think he's even said it himself that he doesn't want to fight 5 round fights anymore because he fucking knows he can't go 5 rounds. You know?
Yeah. So like in his last five losses, he got his ass beat by Max Holloway in those
Yeah.
back-to-back fights. He lost in that first fight. Uh he lost with trying to do the math here. He lost with 47 seconds left in the third round. So he almost went
Mm.
to a decision there. And the rematch, immediate rematch, he lost with 9 seconds left in the third round. So he almost finished the third round there. So basically, both of those fights, he got his ass beat, but he almost went 15 minutes. And then then he had those two fights where he won, and then he lost his last three fights. He lost against Volkanovski by a 3 round decision. Then he lost to Marlon Moraes, 3 round decision, and then his last fight he lost in the fifth round, uh, 3 minutes and 24 seconds into the fifth round against Peter Yan. So he's going deep in all these fights. And so yeah, give me Marlon Vera plus 310 decision.
Yeah, I'm gonna be rooting for Aldo though. Like,
Yeah, me too.
I don't want him to lose to Vera. So, all right. So main event. This is a really cool fight. I really like this a lot. Jeff Neal finally gets a test,
Hmm.
and that's against Steven Thompson. And Steven Thompson's kind of fighting somebody who's lower ranked than him here.
Hmm.
Which and Jeff Neal, man, he's a good fighter, man. The guy's fucking. He's a good fighter, but this is his first kind of test against like a quality like a champion caliber fighter, and I don't know. There's some questions there. I have no idea how he's gonna fare.
Hmm.
Um, Stephen Thompson in his most recent fight against Vicente Luke, I saw something in him that I didn't see before, which I was very intrigued at, and I feel like I'm kind of curious to which version of Thompson shows up. But Stephen Thompson, like typically you see him, backpedal in fights. He like pull counters guys into his punches and kicks and things like that. And he's fighting that that type of fight. But in that fight against Luke, I saw him like push forward. I see him getting to the pocket. I saw him like getting into the line of fire, getting punched and reacting really well to it. And he usually doesn't do that. He's the guy who likes to evade getting punched.
Hmm.
But in that fight, like kind of showed off his warrior spirit. And because I feel like maybe um, he's been losing so many close decisions that he's like, man, fuck, I can't be fighting like this anymore. Maybe he's kind of switching up his fighting style. And yeah, I really liked what I saw there. However, doing that so late in his career, like I don't know if it's a good idea. He's like 36, 37 now. So but yeah, that's what makes this fight so good. Like I really like it. And Jeff Neal, man, super athletic, super duper basic in his style, but he does the basics so damn well. He's got a ton of power. He's super athletic. Back athleticism.
Yep.
He looks like he's pretty damn good everywhere too. He's good with the wrestling. He's good with striking. He's good. I don't know, but his jiu-jitsu looks pretty good too. And he's much younger. So man, and he's very fast too. I guess I'm kind of curious about how this fight plays out at range. Um, if Neil has any like range uh weapons, because I know Neil's a southpaw and Stephen Thompson he can switch stances. So I'm kind of curious to what Neil has at range. So yeah, man, I have no idea how to bet this fight. Neil's the favorite here, negative 120, and Thompson plus 100.
Hmm.
I'm gonna lean towards Thompson, just because I know. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Thompson here. I'm gonna actually I think we talked about this prior, but I'm gonna go with Thompson by decision at plus 370. If the fight plays out the same way, like a Masvidal versus Stephen Thompson fight plays out, and Thompson, does his range game, and keeps him at the end of his punches and kicks, and be very elusive and things like that, and Jeff Neal, loses a veteran fight here and moves on, and does bigger and better things, but I'm gonna go with that pick here, and but it's a tough fight to call, man, and but yeah, I'm gonna go with Stephen Thompson. I like what I saw in his last fight, and like I said, I'm not confident in it though, so yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, this is a very fun fight on paper.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let me open something up real quick. Check something here. Okay, never mind. I don't want to waste time with that. Anyway, so let me read off the stats real fast. We have Stephen Thompson. He is 6 feet tall. I'm not. I just for some reason I just in my mind he just seems taller than that. Just his frame,
Yeah,
right? Because
put him
he's
lanky, yeah.
yeah, he seems super lanky. So maybe you'll have to double check that on the stats when they actually go to the get into the cage when they show up the UFC stats.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's listed as 6 feet tall. Jeff Neal is 5'11", and I always thought he was a little short. I thought he was like 5'10" or something like that, or
Yeah,
5'9".
he
But
fights a
anyway,
little more compact compared to
yeah.
yeah.
So they're only an inch apart in height, apparently. They both have a 75-inch reach. Um, Stephen Thompson is switch stance, and Jeff Neal is southpaw. Jeff Neal is the younger dude here. And all right, so there's that. All right, so this is, if I remember correctly, I think this is my second biggest bet of the year, and I think my first biggest bet. I don't remember what month it was, but it was when Dustin Poirier had that close fight against Dan Hooker, and I had Poirier. I don't remember what his money line was, but I either had 1,500 on him or 1,700, one of those two. So I barely won that one, thank God. But yeah, so that was my biggest bet of the year, and then this bet here, I have $450 on Stephen Thompson right now at -120. I got it when his line was, worse. Now he's plus odds, but I got him at -120 for $450, and then when I get to Vegas in a couple days, I'm gonna put another 600 on him at +100 or whatever his plus money will be at that time. So I'll have at least 1,000 risked on Stephen Thompson here. So let me start from the top. We have both guys here. They haven't fought for a year. Stephen Thompson last fought in November of 2019, and which I think is good because what you just said about his exciting, like slobber knocker of a fight against Vicente Luque, he needed a time. He needed that a time to rest his body and his brain and his chin and all that shit. So he took 13 months off, around there, give or take a couple days or something. And then Jeff Neal he hasn't fought since December of last year. So he took a year off. Sorry, I'm talking weird. So he took a full year off. And speaking of time off here, we have Jeff Neal's actually been going through some shit this year. So let me start by reading his wiki page here. Personal life. Jeff Neal worked as a server at a Texas Roadhouse, which is a restaurant. So he worked at a Texas Roadhouse in Dallas, Texas for 10 years until his fight with Mike Perry in late 2019. However, so that was basically he beat Mike Perry's ass in December of 2019. That was his last fight. So he worked at a restaurant in Dallas for 10 years until he fought Mike Perry in December of 2019. However, in June 2020, Neal announced he had returned to his job as a server after failing to get a fight scheduled. Okay, so that was
That's
so
sad. So
yeah,
sad.
yeah. So he started working at the restaurant again in earlier this year, 6 months ago. But in August of this year, just 2 months after he started working there, on August of this year, August 9th, he started posting because he's very active on social media. Jeff Neal, he was supposed to fight someone. There's a list here. Yeah, he was expected to face Neil Magny on August 29th. But earlier that month, according to him, because he posted on his Instagram, he basically said he posted a couple pictures of himself inside of a hospital, laying in a hospital bed with some shit coming out of him. It says, these past few weeks have been crazy. That's putting it lightly. It's really hard to try to find an eloquent way to say, I almost died. So screw it. I almost died. This really put a lot of things into perspective for me. Never did I ever think I would be hooked up to a dialysis machine before my 30s. Everything was going well for me. I was training every day, making money at work. Just signed a contract for a huge fight. Then boom, life hit me with a check hook. I'm just glad to be home after having to spend 1 week in the ICU. Stay healthy out there, y'all, and listen to your body at all times. Um, I forgot the exact. I forgot the exact reason. Well, I think it says it in another Instagram post, but I don't want to waste time going through everything. But basically, he was in the ICU. He was basically, this was just from August earlier of this year. So he was in there, and it wasn't like he like hurt his jaw or something where he could like still like kick and go to the gym and stuff like that. Or, you know, if you hurt something, like if you hurt something on your foot, you could still do something with your hands. If you hurt something with your hands, you could still do something with your feet. Um, he was basically in the hospital. He said, according to him, it was life threatening. So he wasn't training for a while, and now he's going to be fighting a few months later. He's fighting a 5 round fight, which he's never done before. He's never went past 3 rounds. He's fighting a 5 round fight against the most technical striker and the only type of striker like this he's ever fought before. So he's
Mm-hmm.
fighting a 5 round fight. Never did that before. He's fighting Stephen Thompson, who's the best technical kicker striker in the division, and he's never fought someone like that before.
No, he
Uh,
hasn't.
the most this is the highest profile fight opponent he's ever had before. He hasn't fought for a year, so he's going to be rusty. And Stephen Thompson has fought 5 round fights before. He's used to taking time off, and he needs it, especially at his age. And he has Stephen Thompson is known for having good cardio, and he's shown it in his 5 round fights, even when he loses. Uh, and then if we go back to their last fights, we know that Stephen Thompson still has a good chin. He took several hard shots in that fight against Luque. So I actually just watched that fight right before we started this cast. Round one was it was Luque's. He won due to the volume. Um, but he actually, in terms of damage, Luque lost that first round, but he won on volume in my opinion. And then the second round, he was tired because he got his ass beat in that first round, taking all the shots, counter shots. So in the second round, he's got fucked up, and then the third round, he got even more fucked up. So um, the reason why he was so tired in that second round is because he kept eating all those counter shots. Now, Luque and Neal, they're similar in that they're around the same height. They both have power. They're both their striking is kind of similar in my opinion, except for Jeff Neal is used to he doesn't have high output. He's used to picking his shots, and he waits for people. He likes to counter, so he likes to wait for people to make a certain move or the wrong move or whatever. And he's used to hanging back and kind of just picking his shots. Whereas Luque, he's a come forward guy. He knows he has a good chin. He knows he has power, and he'll eat a shot if he can land a shot. So he that style of fight, the Luque fight, that was a that's a better type of that's a better style of fighting against Stephen Thompson because you're going to make him work. You're going to connect on him. Whereas Jeff Neal, he's not going to be pushing the pace as far as coming forward and running into shit. He doesn't want to run into shit against Stephen Thompson. He knows that, so he's going to be on the outside. He's not going to be able to take Stephen Thompson down. So he's going to be fighting on the outside, and if he doesn't land a big shot, then he's going to be eating leg kicks, spinning kicks, and he'll lose a decision. Or if he gets frustrated, he's going to come in and eat a shot, counter strike, just like he did against 2 fights ago. The one where he beat Nico Price in that, I think it was late in the first or the second round. They both threw hooks. They both wobbled, except for Jeff Neal got dropped and he fell on his butt. And then Nico Price caught himself before falling to the ground, and he got on top of Jeff Neal. But he ended up losing that fight. But anyway, so Jeff Neal has been dropped before, not that long ago. and he is hittable. And I just think this is a really good matchup for Stephen Thompson. If basically, uh, I basically give Neal a puncher's chance. I don't see him winning a decision. And yeah, I really love this. I really love this fight here for Stephen Thompson.
What are your recommended picks for tonight?
Um, recommended picks are Stephen Thompson plus 100. That's my most confident pick. Followed by Marcin Tybura plus 105. Did I say anything about his decision? Yeah, decisions plus 200, or it was. So Marcin Tybura, let's go with his money line for now, just to be safe. So yeah, Stephen Thompson, money line plus 100, and Marcin Tybura, money line plus 105 are my two most confident picks on this card.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with a bunch of overs, man.
Yeah, the overs,
I feel like
I agree.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna try my luck and play some overs, but like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm not too confident in most of these picks. But like I said, like I feel like, man, if I did, if I put $1 on every over, I feel like it'll do me good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna go with. But as a fan, it should be a good one, man. And fuck, man, after this one, we're gonna have to I don't know, I'm not. Yeah, there's not many other sports on. I mean, I'm not a big NFL guy. I used to watch a lot of NFL, but um, I'm not gonna get into that conversation, I guess. But NBA is back too, I guess. But they're in a bubble now, so I don't know. It's not as exciting without the fans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
good luck on your bets, man. Yeah, savor it because we're not gonna get anything for the next month.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, Stephen Thompson he's a higher striking output than Jeff Neal, by the way.
Oh yeah, I
So
believe it.
yeah,
Yeah,
so there's that too. But anyway, yeah, good luck with your bets too.
yeah, man. We'll see. Well, all right.
All right, talk to you later.